Spam turns 8 months old today, so this video is from when she was 7 months old and the past 2 weeks. It's been a couple of weeks since our last video, and in that video we just started working on one jump. So in this video we've actually gone from one jump to sequencing, and her progress has been really fast. It's easy to compare yourself with others and get stressed out when your puppy does not do the things that other puppies are doing at an earlier age. I definitely get stressed out by seeing puppies a few months younger than Spam knowing the same things that she does and sequencing, but her progress in the past 2 weeks has just shown me that there's no reason to start sequencing early, and that she learned everything she needs to know very quickly. I actually want to go back to basics with her and work more on one jump, work on her contacts, and do some more tricks and body awareness stuff instead of the sequencing that I think is a bit early for her. But let's back up and see what we've done in the past weeks. One of the first things that we did was adding a jump to her go forward cue. This was her first session on that, and I was able to add the cone as well for some tight turns, and then making sure that she's only going forward to the toy on my cue. Working on her jump cue has been one of my priorities for these weeks. So starting with just one jump, adding distance, and also the distraction of my movement and the toy moving with me or being placed out. I use a jump that's 20 centimeters high for Spam at this time. Using a lower jump, 10 to 15 centimeters, seemed to produce more running over the bar than jumping, and I actually want her to jump. I don't send her through just uprights. I want there to be a jump so that she has to think about what she's doing, but I don't want it to be high so that she has unnecessary strain on her young body. This next clip is from a very exciting session where I decided to add another distraction to her jump training, a rear cross. Rear crossing is just adding distraction of my motion to the jump cue. I want her to jump even if I'm crossing in behind her, and if I'm early in my rear cross, it's very obvious for her where to turn. The placed out toy helps as well, of course. Last week we were training at a friend's, and this was the first session ever where she did more than one jump. We actually put together her tight turns, her jump cue, and her go cue, as well as a rear cross in the end. So I was really excited to see how well she was reacting to my cues, and how well she was actually searching for the jumps, even when the lines were a bit difficult to read. The next day at home, I was using one cone and 2 jumps, and started with some front crossing for the first time. The front cross is also just another distraction on the jump cue. I want her to find the jump even if I'm moving away and doing an early front cross. Of course she needs to come to the correct side, but the earlier I am, the easier it is for her. This was another cool session where we were working on a tight turn to the right and then ascend to the tunnel. I wanted to be able to do this with me on the other side of the jump so that she would turn away from me and then find the tunnel on my tunnel cue. I was so surprised to see how well she did with this. Of course, we also added some turns towards me, her left turn cue, which is back, and then helping her a little bit with my body to make sure she was correct. This is like the second day of her doing the 6-meter tunnel, so I was very surprised to see that she could drive so far without any motion from me. It just goes to show that all the foundation stuff that we've done really comes in handy now. We don't train a lot. These things that you see in these videos is most of our training sessions, and she's just been a very, very good puppy, taking what she learned in foundations and then just applying it to new situations. And I really want to stress this, I don't train her a lot. She is able to sequence even though she just saw a jump 2 weeks ago, and most of the things that she understands in sequencing comes from foundation and not from sequencing. This week we had some days with really hot weather, and I could see that she was a little bit more tired in the sun, which isn't strange. She hasn't lived through a summer yet, and she's used to cooler weather. One of my goals with Spam is to add the distraction of other obstacles as early as possible in our training. So in this session, I was working on her finding the jump with the tunnel as a distraction. Both starting back behind the tunnel and also having me run behind the tunnel. And she actually did really, really well with this.
Yes, så bra. Hopp.
When I need to help her a little bit, I will place the toy out. The placed out toy is something that she knows from other training, and it focuses her on the task because she knows that she can't just run straight to the toy. Our next session was a little bit cooler, and she did really well in this. She had more speed and she knew the task better than she did in the session before. I even was able to try a tight turn away from me in this session, and I was super happy to see that she did it on the first try. Look at this. I also dared to send her through the tunnel once, and then I used the placed out toy to help her for the next repetition. I was a bit worried that I just taught her to run past the tunnel. My next session was therefore to find the tunnel from the backside with me running away. She hasn't done this before, but she was really good with it. I used a barrier on the inside of the tunnel entrance to make sure that she had success, but I don't think she really looked at it. Since she was that good, I added a jump and did some jump training, this time with a barrier in front of the tunnel mouth. I actually think it's a good idea to use barriers to be able to train the more difficult things without having a lot of failure. This way she can see really hard things without me having to worry about her making a lot of mistakes and repeating the wrong behavior. It's really addictive to see your puppy do sequencing, jumps and tunnels and listening to cues, but I also want her to have great contacts, and that takes time. So I decided it was time to bring out our pillow again and do some more 2-on 2-off work. We haven't worked on it since January, so it was about time. She remembered what we did before and was able to progress, but we're still in the beginning stages of her 2-on 2-off, and I haven't added a cue yet. We do some backing up and then some finding the position from the correct side. I think she's doing great, but we need to work more on it so that we can start doing some games on the seesaw. Another game that we have started is finding the up contact on the dog walk. I like to start this fairly early because I want to add the cue for the dog walk before we start working on her down contacts so that we can get lots of repetitions on finding the dog walk. I also want her to be able to find the up contact from any angle and still hit in the yellow and stay in balance. I use a treat machine and I use her target, and I had to add some wings to keep her straight. But this was great fun and she did well. Thanks for watching. I hope to be back in a week or two and show some more of the things that we're working on. It's a really exciting time now and it's starting to look a lot like agility.